Cheryl my opinion here, Joyce Spurlock, my wife. And we are asked to do 10 minutes. Anybody here? Yeah, we've got this festival over here on South Central Avenue starting at 12 o'clock. And we got, 6 bands? My daughters have set this thing up. And they have got a guitar player all the way from Alabama that was my guitar player, lead singer in 1953. It was 55 years ago. And this is going to be quite a reunion. Anybody in the audience ever see the movie Bonnie and Clyde?
Oh, yeah.
Remember the first bank they robbed, the one that was out of business? And it made him mad, and he got out in the car and shot the window out, and then he took off, and the cops chased him down through the field. You heard this this sound. Now that's the way a banjo sounds today. When I was 6 years old in 1936, I was old enough to get a bucket lid and nail it on a board and get some wire out of a screen wire and drive nails in it and bend them over where I could twist them and tune it. And I tuned it like a banjo. And my dad saw that. My mother's name was Ellie. And I heard him say, "Ellie, there's music in that boy." So he went out right then and cut a maple tree down and hewed this neck out. And he made these keys. And he rode a horse about 5 miles to Buckhorn, Kentucky, and bought a set of black diamond strings. And this was the banjo that I learned to play on from 1936 until 1941. And this is the way it sounded back then. So you can see it was kind of hard to keep in tune. My dad was a dirt farmer, never had any ambition to do anything else but be a dirt farmer. But when President Kennedy died, I was building a house up in Enid, and I was watching the funeral on television, and everybody was talking about what a great man he was. And my thoughts was with my dad. He had passed away a couple of years before that, and my thoughts was my dad was the greatest man I ever knew. So I wrote this song about him, and I figured the reason that a man was a great man was situation. President Kennedy was the president, and that's why he was known as a great man. But this is a song I wrote about my dad. A little boy was standing by a graveside on a hill. His hair hung down to hide his eyes. I could not see the chill. And he looked up as I asked why his silence finally broken. With tear-filled eyes he looked at me. These words were faintly spoken. All great men this world has known has passed this way before. I saw them standing here before me not so long ago. I wondered why I saw them, the Kennedys, Bob and John. There was Lincoln, Truman, and Roosevelt, and my dad, the tallest one. As a great man, he was never known, no inventor, nor star. He worked these fields and raised his corn and never looked afar. He might have been a famous man, but the family had no one to do the chores and pay the bills. He did it all alone. Our beds were made by his own hands. We had no linen spine. And as a dad, I sure was proud to always call him mine. His heart was heavy laden to get his children grown. And now he lies beneath the clay. His seeds have all been sown. As God looks down upon his finest works in all creation, I'm sure he sees that all great men are known by situation. If honest deeds in plowing fields are known as greater things, my father's earned the right to stand by presidents and kings. Yes, my father's earned the right to stand by presidents and kings.
Good morning. To save us all from getting wet, I think we're going to move into the lobby. So if you can do that, we'd appreciate it. Thank you.
Fairborn. We're very excited about our very proud past, and we're excited about this day because we have so many activities going on, a chance to showcase Fairborn and also remember a lot of the important parts of our past and remember where we came from. At this time, I'd like to lead you in the Pledge of Allegiance to the flag. We have a flag over here. If you please join me in the Pledge of Allegiance. I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all. This time I have the pleasure of introducing Joe Flatter, Jr., and he's going to talk a little bit about the activities today. Joe, our Master of Ceremonies. Welcome.
Thank you. Well, good morning and welcome to the citizens of Fairborn, friends, guests, and dignitaries. I am Joe Flatter, Jr., and it is my pleasure to be your Master of Ceremonies this morning for this great event, reenactment for the Heritage Days signing of the city charter in 1950. The committee asked if I would be the Master of Ceremonies because my great uncle, Howard Flatter, was the Master of Ceremonies in 1950. And here are a few comments from Howard at that signing. Need some light. But as I was told earlier, our word today is flexible. That's how we are. We're flexible. The underlying contagion of democracy is improvement. The birth of Fairborn signifies a step forward marking the beginning of a half century even more provocative. To improve on occasion means to break the traditions, use those traditions to inspire progress. This has brought a shift of interest to the importance of community. At this time, I would like to introduce our state senator for the 10th District, Beaver Creek resident, Steve Austria.
All right. Thank you. Thank you, Mayor. Thank you all for coming out this morning on this cloudy day, but we have a part of history of Fairborn where we're standing today with this theater, which I know we're trying to renovate and trying to make bring alive again in this community, which is a part of history of this community. What a great day for all of us to come together, to all of our elected officials that are here, Commissioner Perales, our city council people, mayor, of course you're here. Thank you all for being here. You know, today is a day of history. Today is a day that we're going to do reenactments of how Fairborn became to be what Fairborn is today, how it began. When Fairfield and when Osborne, those two communities, the citizens of those communities came together, united during a very difficult time to all of a sudden make history, becoming Fairborn. And you have to think back to when they came together, the citizens of those communities, what they had envisioned for Fairborn and where it is today. You know, had they envisioned the innovation, the dreams of the future and where we are today and the potential we have to go forward from this point and making today history as well. So there's great opportunities for Fairborn. I'm very optimistic that this community will continue to grow, that you are all part of that, many of you, as Mr. Flatter, our Master of Ceremonies, his family, I have deep roots in the Fairborn. This is our community, this is our home, and we must continue to move forward. And we have great opportunities with a tremendous asset sitting right next door, Wright-Patterson Air Force Base, to make that happen. And together we can make that happen. We have to be united. We have to all believe in the same cause and the same dreams that the citizens of Fairfield and Osborne did years ago when they came together and united. And I think we can keep that vision alive and keep moving forward, that Fairborn will continue to grow and be a wonderful place to live and raise our family. You know, I was just told that my good friend Mike Horton, his car broke down. Is that correct? So I'm not sure where to go from here because we're going to do the reenactment, I know, and everything. But at this point, I'd like to ask Commissioner Perales to come forward, and can we go ahead and we've got some.
If we can have the city and county officials to please come forward.
Are we just going to pass? We all just pass.
Yes.
Rick, you want to say a few remarks to everyone here?
You know, I'd thank you, Steve. I'm Rick Perales from Greene County. On behalf of the Greene County Commissioners, we're excited about today's events. Steve said it right. I mean, there's never been an easy time in our communities, and just back when they combined and all the challenges ahead, we've got a lot of challenges here, but we've got great people, great leadership. You folks being here, you love your city, a great resource right next door. I mean, we bring it all together, and we'll, like Steve said, we'll keep this a great place to live, work, and raise a family. It is now, and it could be even better tomorrow with the leadership that we have and the enthusiasm we have here. So on behalf of the Greene County Commissioners, we're just pleased to be here, and we want to congratulate you on this reenactment.
And also, we want to work together to get the lights on in this theater. And
Yep.
get this is a very important part of this community, and we're going to work together to try to make that happen.
Absolutely.
So with that, I think we're going to pass these out to, are we going to give it, Carol, you're in charge.
Okay, I'm in charge since Mike's not here.
Well, thank you.
Each one of them.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Since we had originally planned a signing of the charter, but this seemed a little bit more expedient. However, now we have extra time since Mike is not here and he had some comments. But again, please let me reiterate. Think of the theater. Think of your time as growing up and attending the theater. And any support that you can provide to the theater would be appreciated. I want to make one comment. There's a print. You can't see it because of the darkness in the theater, but please take a look at it before you leave. This is not the original, but a copy of the original print that was presented at the original 1950 charter signing. The print was done by Homer Hacker. I don't know if Mr. Hacker is here. He had said that he would attend, but maybe the weather kept him away. But he's now 93 years old, and so he was going to try to come this morning. So does anyone else have any comments?
I think I saw, is Marcia back there? Marcia Horton, is she?
I saw Marcia earlier.
And Mike is
Mike's
here.
here.
So the day is saved. We got
Yeah.
Was
Dr.
it with
Horton.
AAA or with it, with the same?
There's Mike Horton.
Yeah.
All right, Michael.
What can I say? That was quite an experience, folks. Okay, are we all set today?
So Mike, how did you arrive?
It's one of those vehicles that you really need a horse. Are you ready to begin, ladies and gentlemen?
We pretty much finished, Mike.
Oh, we are, okay.
But we're welcoming your comments.
I think we're ready for
All right.
whatever you want,
Okay,
Mike.
good.
So reenact
All right.
whatever you want to do.
All right, thank you for Red Spurlock for playing our opening ceremony. Today, starting at noon, the first annual Red Spurlock Bluegrass Festival will take place at Central Park, where you will hear wonderful bluegrass music from 5 fantastic bands. Central Park is located at the junction of Dayton Avenue and Central Avenue. The YMCA is located at this park. In the Osborne Historic District, starting immediately after the opening ceremonies, there will be a Harding for President rally at 50 North Central Avenue. Senator Steve Austria will be our keynote speaker at this rally. Also, another special guest, Ms. Upton, a major state and national suffrage organizer, will be our first speaker. Many Osborne reenactors, which many of them are here right now, will be walking about to meet our historic garden tour guests. Please take time to sit down, listen, and tell a yarn. The 1915 Scripps booth will probably not be at the Ham home this weekend. Maybe a horse will be there instead. Orville Wright's Wright Bee Flyer will be buzzing the skies over Osborne and Fairfield approximately every 2 hours today and tomorrow, with weather permitting. The Mercer Smith Long Hope Park, with its timeline of 1812, will be having outdoor cooking demonstration, historic livestock breeds, and heirloom vegetables from the 1800s and earlier. Mr. Mercer will be in the gardens to explain the various plants. There are also Johnny Appleseed trees that are originally from an Ohio Johnny Appleseed tree up north. The gardens will be available to you with Mr. Mercer, and there are also the brown redbud there. Mr. Mercer will be glad to explain to you what a brown redbud is. Dulcimer concerts will be in the log home in the afternoon on Saturday and Sunday. Madame Dupont, who is here, I believe. Yes, there's Madame Dupont. Is up from New Orleans and is staying with the Mercers. She is giving 3 French lessons, both on Saturday and Sunday. Madame Dupont will also explain why her husband, Colonel Dupont, is recruiting Ohioans to march to Fort Detroit. There will be an excellent dinner at the Mercer Log Home Saturday evening. All recipes are late 1700s and early 1800s. The meal will be prepared over on open fire. If interested in the authentic meal, see Mrs. Mercer at the Mercer Smith Log Home Park at the corner of Middle and 1st Street. The Fairborn Art Association is having a juried art show with the theme Historic People, Places, and Things. The art show is located at the Old Central School on Central Avenue in the Fairborn Art Association's meeting room. Also at Central School, there will be a PowerPoint presentation discussing the move of Osborne and its affiliation with Fairfield. This is an exceptional presentation full of historic pictures and discussions about the people that lived in those times. There will be a rubber band airplane show at St. Luke's Methodist Church at the corner of Broad and Middle Streets. Aeronautical specialists will be present to help children build their rubber band planes. At the old fire station, number 1, there will be an historic police and fire memorabilia located in both bays. It is a great place to visit with interesting stories told about the early years of those departments. Again this year, we want to welcome our Volts Marchers. It's always a joy to have you at our festival. Have we announced all our special guests today? No? Okay. Yes? Okay, good. All right. Mayor, have we had the pledge?
Yes, sir.
Okay. All right. Have we had the prayer at this point? Not yet. Okay. All right. Ladies and gentlemen, will you spare a moment with me for a prayer? Heavenly Father, we are here today to enjoy and experience the heritage of our two villages that came together to become the only Fairborn in the United States of America. Help us learn and appreciate the past as we continue to advance in base-affiliated Star Wars technologies. Let us not forget the sacrifices and the challenges that it took to cut a path through the wilderness along the Mad River to create the first settlement in Bath Township, and how that path slowly became a road with cabins and small family plots. From 1795 through today, we continue to expand, mature, and develop. Help us to expand with a plan in mind, a vision that will not only assure a rich future, but also protect our farmland and our wildlife. We also want to acknowledge the men and women that would like to be here today, but cannot, because they are located in many other lands, protecting our freedoms against those who want to harm us. Help us, Lord, learn to be tolerant and accepting of other nationalities and beliefs. We ask this in your Son's name. Amen.
Mike,
Yes.
the city officials have not been.
Oh, city officials have not been introduced. Mr. Hatner, okay. Mr. Pomeroy. DJ Griffin, right, I'm sorry. And of course, everybody knows this gentleman, and the mayor, Mayor Wolf. And of course, Senator Austria, and then Commissioner Perales. Thank you so much for coming today. All right. Yes.
The city manager.
Oh, yes, city manager's over there. Yes, city manager. And Pete Bales right behind there. Okay. And past Mayor, Mayor Wolver, and past Mayor Takis. And Pat Higgins is here as planning individual for the city. So we appreciate all of you coming here today and being part of the opening ceremonies. We're looking forward to seeing you over the next 2 days. There's going to be a lot of neat things going on. Do come on down in the Osborne district. Do go over to the Mercer Smith district. We've got a lot of wonderful experiences for you to be part of and really be a true living history over the next couple of days. Thanks again. And I think we're ready to begin. Okay. Oh, yes, yes. Next, that is Joe Flatter. Are you ready?
We're done.
Are we finished?
We're all done. We're done.
All right, okay.
But while I get everybody's attention while you're here, if you're looking in their Fairborn and on our Fairborn Performing Arts and Cultural Association website, we're planning on this wall putting on a memorial. When you see memorial, that's where it'll go. A tree with leaves and it'll show it's $500 per leaf. And then also, if you reserve a seat, there's several versions. The first 100 seats, $2,500 a piece for 25 years. The next 100 is $2,000, the next 100 is $1,500, the next 100 is $1,000. Then the memorial, they would also have leaves on the memorial tree. And then along with the $500 ones. Just out in the front, we're also planning on bricks, $100 and $250 bricks to replace the cracked concrete out here. So that's kind of where we are in the fundraising. We got Senator Austria is pushing to get us some state money, and then also we're looking for some federal grants. So within, hopefully within a year or no more than 2, we should have the doors open. So if you know of another congressman or something that has money with people, let us know.
Fred, would you please, after you tour the theater, which shouldn't take too long, and we're roped off in a lot of places, please take a look at some of the old newspaper articles that we have stationed around the theater. Thank you.
Mike, were you going to do the reenactment now?
Yes, Mr. Flatter, you are on. This is your show now.
We've already done that.
Oh, you already did that?
Yeah,
Yeah, we
we've
did.
already done that. I think what he's referring to is the actual signing.
Oh, the
Well,
sign.
no,
Is that-
the certificate presentation
Okay.
Oh,
was,
okay, but that's already been done.
Okay, so you've got.
We're finished.
yes,
You're finished. Okay.
that's what I get.
All right. Okay. Senator, we're going to let you ring the bell to officially open Heritage Days.
All right, ready?
Thank you, sir.
Thank you.
No problem. Oh, sure.
Last night? Yeah. Good. Gypsy Rose, come here. I better back up a little bit. She lived with a Yorkie at a Wesley, so she likes little dogs.
Here comes our wonderful councilman. Thank you for coming, sir, and his lovely wife. Thank you for coming. All right, we are ready.
It's not 10:30.
Oh, it's not? What time is it?
10:15.
Oh, okay, all right. Well, we got time yet then. What would you like to talk about? Oh, thank you very much. I just bought a horse. She's obviously getting plenty of attention over there. I can understand that.
No.
Okay, we're going to start the Harding for President rally. Can everybody hear me all right? Okay. It is my privilege to introduce our first rally speaker, Harriet Taylor Upton. Miss Upton joined the National Women's Suffrage Association in 1890. The next year, she began the Ohio Women in Convention. A group began in Ohio by her, seeking equal opportunities, especially the right to vote. In 1894, Miss Upton was elected the treasurer of the National Women's Suffrage Association, which she has served honorably until 1910. It was Miss Upton's urging that the nation's Women's Suffrage Association move its national headquarters to Warren, Ohio, from Seneca, New York. Miss Upton served as president of the Ohio Women's Suffrage Association from 1899 to 1908 and from 1911 to the present. I have heard rumors that Miss Upton will retire from the position in 1920 once the National Suffrage Amendment is ratified. A longtime member of the Republican Party, Miss Upton was the first woman to serve on the Republican National Executive Committee. Miss Upton has been a prolific author of children's books and other titles such as A History of the Western Reserve, The Early Presidents, Their Wives and Children, and History of Trumbull County. Miss Upton has traveled extensively to help develop suffrage organizations throughout Ohio, including the Miami Valley and Dayton. Her energy, enthusiasm, and unequaled commitment to women's rights have been appreciated by all those who support ladies in their quest for equality. I am pleased to present to this rally our first speaker, Miss Harriet T. Upton.
Thank you very much. Thank you all for attending the rally. 71 years ago next month can everybody hear me? Next month on July 19th, 71 years ago next month on July 19th, 1848, in Seneca, New York, America's first women's rights convention was assembled. Elizabeth Cady Stanton issued a list of grievances from disenfranchisement to unfair child custody laws and resolved to demand equality. The Whig newspaper Oneida scorned the convention, but the initial founders, along with thousands of ladies across the United States, continued in their quest to vote. This is not the only time that women crusaded for their beliefs. In 1873, in Xenia, Ohio, a little after 3 o'clock in the afternoon, the temperance ladies entered the Shades of Death saloon. Mr. Phillips surrendered the contents of the saloon to the ladies and closed the saloon's doors forever. The ladies poured the beer, ale, and wine and whiskey into Xenia streets as they sung, "Praise God, from whom all blessings flow." The temperance ladies felt that the Shades of Death was the backbone of the rebellion in Greene County. Within 24 hours more, 4 saloons closed. The Greene County movement continued until all the saloons surrendered to the temperance organization in Xenia and Fairfield. The national temperance movement continued to push for reform, and on December 18, 1917, the United States Senate passed the 18th Constitutional Amendment with its ratification by 36 states on January 16th of this year. The amendment will go into effect next year on January 16th. Praise the Lord. Many ladies of the United States have shown determination, dedication, and drive to have this amendment passed. Ladies across the United States continue to voice their opinions on many subjects and attempt to make a difference for all Americans, such in the case of when Ohio's Victoria Woodhull announced that in the New York Herald on April 2nd, 1870, that she would run for the President of the United States. In January 1872, the National Women's Suffrage Association at its annual convention voted to nominate Victoria Woodhull as the NWSA candidate to run for the White House and become the 19th President of the United States. The convention also nominated Frederick Douglass, a famous orator, newspaper published abolitionist, and former black slave, to be her vice president and running mate. Unfortunately, to this date, 1919, no woman has made it to the White House. No black man has become vice president. Women are still largely accountable to a different standard than men. Money is still a major obstacle for candidates, and women are still judged more on personal issues and looks than men. But change in Ohio is in the wind. The suffrage movement is in good strength. The Dayton area chapter has supporters like Mr. J. Patterson of NCR. Mrs. Valentine Winters of Winters Bank fame is on the Dayton Suffrage Executive Committee. The U.S. Senate voted on the 4th of this month to adopt the Susan Burrell Anthony Suffrage Amendment. The amendment has already been passed by the U.S. House of Representatives, so the measure has gone to the states. Ohio's Governor Cox signed the amendment on the 16th of this month, becoming the 6th state to ratify women's rights. Ohio was only preceded by Illinois, Michigan, Wisconsin, and Kansas, and New York. The same day that the Ohio General Assembly ratified the 19th Constitutional Amendment, Representative James A. Reynolds introduced the Reynolds-Fax bill. This Ohio suffrage bill assured that Ohio women would be able to vote in the 1920s presidential election. Even if the necessary 36 states had not voted to ratify the Constitutional Amendment in time for the upcoming election. I personally want to thank state senators and the state representative for their proactive role to assure women's rights to vote in the upcoming 1920s election. I'm here today to ask all ladies to vote in this election. I'm here today to ask all ladies to consider your responsibility for the vote. Wait a minute. I'm here today to ask for all ladies to consider your responsibility to vote for the candidate that meets your beliefs, convictions, and personal needs. In addition, I am here to ask all ladies to consider what is best for the village of Osborne, Greene County, your beautiful Ohio, and America. Many of you have suffered from the Great War and the pandemic influenza. Your emotions and sorrows run deep. But this is your first presidential election. Put your emotions aside and listen to speakers, read newspapers, attend rallies like today, and let logic, knowledge, and your feminine strengths guide your vote. We ladies are taking on the largest responsibility this nation can use the right to vote. Take that responsibility very seriously. At this point, the Republican Democratic conventions have not convened for the 1920 election. Several men are contesting for the delegates at those conventions. Listen to your candidates and vote your convictions and your conscience. Today, we will hear Republican representatives discuss the assets of Senator Warren G. Harding. Senator Harding is an honorable man that voted yes for the suffrage amendment. I would like to quote one of his famous statements. If we can prove a representative popular government under which citizenship speaks what it may do for government and country rather than what country may do for individuals, we shall do more to make democracy safe for the world than all armed conflict ever recorded. Let me repeat that important statement. If we can prove a representative popular government under which the citizenship speaks for what it may do for the government and country rather than what the country may do for individuals, we shall do more to make democracy safe for the world than all armed conflict ever recorded. What a powerful statement. Harding's summation speaks to the ladies of today. It points the way ladies should conduct their thinkings for daily life as well as the way ladies should conduct their thinking for daily life as well as when ladies eventually occupy seats in Congress. Harding's philosophy gives us a beacon to guide our thinking and to ask the simple questions. What can ladies do for their nation rather than what the nation can do for their families? I would appreciate the ladies and gentlemen to give our speakers your full attention. We have many problems in America. We need to find the right individual at the right time to create the right answers and the right actions. Many families have been broken by the Great War, the pandemic influenza. We need to reach out to those families. We need to provide rehabilitation to find jobs for our veterans. We need to find governmental financial support for those families that have lost their breadwinner during the pandemic influenza. Over the next few short months before the November 1920 election, we have much to learn. We have to mentally digest, and we have much to develop a conviction for the right man at the right time with the right answers. I want to thank the citizens of the Village of Osborne for inviting me to speak at this rally. As a leader in the national Ohio suffrage movement, I will continue to strive to meet the Ohio citizens through voluntary organization, and it is my hope that you will do the same. Thank you, and God bless America.
Thank you very much, Ms. Upton, for coming down from Warren, Ohio to speak to this group today. Today, we gather together to rally around Senator Warren G. Harding to become the 29th President of the United States of America. Not if, but when Ohio's Senator Harding is overwhelmingly elected by the American populace to become president, he will be the first sitting senator to achieve this milestone. Senator Harding is a man with a vision. Warren G. Harding is a visionary that will return America back to normalcy. President Wilson is an honorable man, a wise man, a dedicated man, but a president that is too strongly involved in European affairs rather than what is best for America. We have all just lived through the Great War. Osborne has lost one of its own. But this war was created by childish monarchies that could not permit each other to become too strong and potentially superior over each other. This war was fought for superiority, territory, and colonization. This war was fought to end all wars. But will this war end all wars? Only time will tell. Multiple monarchies have fallen after the Great War. This is not our concern. We fought our independence from England over 100 years ago. We revolutionaries demanded representation for taxation. That is why we fought for our independence. That is why we separated ourselves from the monarchies of Europe. We Americans want one man, one vote. On June 16, 1919, the Ohio Senate supported the suffrage amendment, which permits not only one man, one vote, but also one woman, one vote. And Senator Warren G. Harding supported the U.S. Senate vote to permit this measure to be addressed by each and every state in the Union. Ladies, keep in mind when the other senator comes up for re-election, he did not vote for your rights. He voted no for the suffrage amendment. It is time to help him retire from the Senate. When it is time to vote for his seat, it will be time to replace this man with a Republican that supports the rights of women. During the 1920 election, all you ladies will have for the first time the right to vote for a presidential candidate. Many other nations have had in place the ability for ladies to vote. Now it is your turn to declare and confirm the Declaration of Independence. We, let me say that word again, we the people, and that includes the ladies of this country. President Wilson, and now the potential Democratic nomination for the next presidency, our own Ohio Governor Cox, wants to continue the League of Nations. When will the intervention end? When will America say enough of these foreign affairs? When will Americans require our politicians to be interested in the general welfare of Americans, not the rest of the world? We cannot continue a course of intervention with the League of Nations because we must concentrate on back to normalcy. It is not the United States of America's job to be the sheriff of the world. We have home issues that must be addressed. Let the Europeans settle their own problems. Let Americans settle their own problems. Senator Harding wants what is best for America. He wants the best for all its citizens, all American citizens, not just some. I know all of you remember the devastating cold that we felt during the coal shortage of the late fall and winter of 1917. In Kansas, retail coal dealers advanced coal prices to unreasonable figures, apparently with the determination to ignore federal action. In Ohio, mayors formed militias to confiscate rail coal to help keep our electric plants running. Cleveland faced the most desperate situation in the history as a result of the fuel shortage. 75,000 workers were closed because their factories did not have appropriate energy resources. Salaries were lost. Families went hungry and were cold. In Columbus, the Electric City Transit stopped. Columbus citizens had to walk to work in the bitter cold instead of having appropriate and comfortable public transportation. Many did not go to work because their companies were closed. The coal shortage closed war plants in Ohio. I'm sure that you remember that this was not just an Ohio problem. Not until mid-December did a representative of the National Fuel Administration arrive in Cincinnati to establish clearinghouses for coal. Even after clearinghouses were established, weeks went by before Ohio coal was diverted to Ohioans. Why, we ask? Because President Wilson spent too much emphasis and too much energy on a war that was fought overseas, a European war, which was not an American war. Americans suffered financially and physically because the president was concentrating his energy on his 14-point plan for Europe. Why was he not concerned with Americans' physical and financial needs? Why was he not concerned that American children had no heat in their homes? Will this philosophy continue if Governor Cox becomes president? I do not even want to consider that thought. Senator Harding is concerned about you and you and you. He understands that America must come first. He understands that this is the last energy crisis must be checked, so we, the people, will not suffer bitter cold and loss of salaries. Senator Harding is formulating concepts to assure there will be an alternative energy resources and that coal will not be the only means of running our factories, heating our homes, and providing electricity to our cities, towns, and villages. Once Senator Harding is elected president, he will establish a commission that will study the future energy needs of this country. This commission will not only study potential national resources, but also renewable energy resources. Holland still uses wind. Holland still has windmills. Why cannot the United States? Renewable resources can augment Ohio's needs as well as the entire United States of America. To this day, farmers use windmills to pump water for their livestock. Why cannot America use windmills to pump water for its citizens? The 1920 election is not an election between two parties, Republican and Democrat. It is an election for ideals. It is an election between continuation of European intervention versus America returning to what once was. Let us spend our hard-earned U.S. dollars on American concerns rather than European ideals that forced us into war. Let us not rebuild Europe for Europeans. Let us concentrate our financial assets on building America to be a better place for all Americans. We, the people, have the right and the vote to stop the continuation for world reconstruction. We, the people, have the right and the vote to say no more. We, the people, have the ability to express our opinion at the ballot box. It is time to return to what once was. It is time to go back to normalcy. It is time for the vast majority of Americans to vote for Senator Warren G. Harding for President of the United States. Thank you, Osbornites. Thank you, Osbornites, for listening to these words, and may God bless America. It is now my great honor and privilege to introduce our keynote speaker, Senator Steve Austria. Senator Austria is the Majority Whip of the Ohio Senate. Having served in the Ohio House of Representatives and now the Ohio Senate, he has achieved a perfect attendance voting record and has been instrumental in passing very important pieces of legislation for Osborne, our district, and the state, including tax reform, tort reform, and criminal sentences for criminals that are of dangerous status so that they will not be allowed to be removed from prison. Senator Austria has been a strong advocate for the development of the right field. He realizes the significance of the aeronautical research and supports the continuation to maintain this research function in Osborne and the Miami Valley. Senator Austria is an energetic family man. He served as coach for all three of his sons' basketball, soccer, and baseball teams. The Austria family was chosen as the Ohio Family of the Year, and subsequently was chosen as one of 9 families throughout the country as the Great American Family. Senator Austria is a true American, a patriot, a family man, a religious man, a man dedicated to his constituents. It is my pleasure to introduce the Honorable Senator Steve Austria as our keynote speaker for Osborne's 1919 Harding for President rally. Thank you.
Thank you. Thank you for that kind introduction. Ms. Upton, thank you for the historical remarks of women's suffrage, which is so important to our history. I was asked today to give brief remarks about Senator Harding and the similarities of his campaign and when he ran to today and the history. So let me begin by starting with the history of Senator Harding, as was mentioned, and I appreciate those wonderful theatric remarks that Dr. Horton preceded me with, because I think he laid out the groundwork and as to what Senator Harding was all about. He was raised in Marion County, just north of here, a county that he felt very, very strongly about and believed in, and where his roots were. And really everything was based around Marion County in his whole political career. He went on, was a small businessman, started his own business, Marion Daily Star, and was very successful with that Star and newspaper. And he was editor and publisher, and he was a very strong supporter, as you heard, of the Republican Party. He was elected to the Ohio Senate in 1898, where he rose to a leadership position by 1901. And Ohio Republican politics at the time were deeply ridden with factionalism, and Harding earned a reputation for being able to work with both sides, to be able to work through very difficult situations and harmonize that conflict and bring things together and move policy forward. In 1899, Harding won his first of the 2 terms in the Ohio Senate. He served as majority leader of the Ohio Senate before his bid for lieutenant governor in 1903. And I hear the thunder and I hear the dogs, so I will speed this speech up very quickly. He served lieutenant governor from 1904 to 1905. He then ran for governor, was unsuccessful, took a time off in his business career, and as the rain starts to come down, I will speed this up even quicker. He went on to the U.S. Senate. But he was a man who believed very strongly in the citizens that he represented. He believed that government should have less impact on businesses and be less regulating businesses and individual family lives, and that businesses and families should be more part of government. And he's truly believed that. And he ran his campaign right here on the porch, a front porch campaign, beginning in Marion, Ohio, that went across this nation. And he really believed that's how the message could best be spread. And that was a time when the first time when newspapers and television began for the first time in a campaign. He ran in the first primary ever in the Republican Party and in the state. But he truly believed that grassroots politics, that grassroots campaigning was the key to it all. And I believe the people appreciate that. Today, as I walk door to door, it's a very difficult thing. Candidates don't like to do that often. And I see some of our city council people, Frank can probably relate to this as well. It's tough to walk door to door, but people appreciate it. They make comments to me. It's good to see you doing things the old-fashioned way. It's good to see an actual person come to my door that I can talk to and relate to. And Senator Harding truly believed in that, and he ran what he called the front porch campaign throughout the nation. He relied very heavily on others to spread his word, and he had a very strong campaign staff that did that, and that's why he was successful, because the word was coming from the locals at the grassroots level, not from someone higher up talking down to them, and he truly believed that. He was very successful in that. Let me just close by saying, again, the things that he accomplished in his life, the wonderful pieces of legislation that changed our nation and our policy throughout this nation. Women's suffrage being the head of that list was so important in changing the way we live our lives today and the way our political process in this great nation of ours has progressed and will continue to grow in the future. Look above us. A wonderful
Fire, ladies and gentlemen.
night over us because I think the clouds are going to be following it. But again, thank you for having me. Thank you for participating in the reenactment of Osborne and in the beginning of Fairborn. You know, there's lots of history here. Earlier today, we were blessed with 3 mayors that have gone and progressed in helping make part of that history. All of you are part of that history. And following what Senator Harding did from this area of Ohio, we must continue to move forward. We have great opportunities ahead of us. We have a jewel next to us, this Wright-Patterson Air Force Base, that will help us dictate in that future and make that future. But it all begins right here, just like Senator Harding said, right here on the front porch. Thank you very much.
Thank you, Senator Harding, for those wonderful words today. Now, Ms. Upton would like for all of you to come in that are wanting to vote for Harding. If you don't want to vote for Harding, you may stop here and watch us eat some cookies and have fun. All I can say are those guys are nuts driving around in those planes like that. You never see me in there. Oh, Senator Austria. Senator Austria, sorry, sir. So please come on inside if you are voting for Harding. The rest of you.
Should we start on a bread? You might have hit 12 kids, but you're lucky 4 of them. Which is why you passed the chat family. Well, and would be here on the frontier too. They needed that much help on the farm. Right. Yeah. You had to do something to stay warm. Yeah. Cuddle on up. Yeah.
Oh, okay.
You won't be. We got a list of sheep last year, but
yeah, they're you have to have 2. If you don't have at least 2 to 3,
oh, she really went. Okay. I don't know where that one's going to go. There it is.
Oh, wait.
You want some more money? No, I just didn't want to give her my 5 so she'd have to change it and everything. I have plenty of change. Oh, do you? Well, then let me give you a 5 and you can just give me back. Okay. 4. That'll work. I'll just get 2. Is he liking his new home?
Oh, sure. He wants to tip this bucket over.
They evidently had it inside.
Yeah, probably in somebody's garage. Oh, yeah, it started raining.
I don't know whether they've done a little bit outside already or whether they're just waiting for mine to get there.
I gotta say hi to you. Hi, Bill.
Jim, how are you?
Good, how you doing?
How are you?
Okay.
Thanks for coming.
I enjoyed it. Thank you.
I hadn't seen it all. Good, good. So my grandparents' name and don't know the name, but they built one of the houses on Grant.
Oh, yeah?
Which one? site. Yes, in the car.
Well, actually, I'm moving on to the next house.
Okay, so you're going on the
I'm
tour
going,
now.
no, actually, I'm going to a house on Routt. I've got